Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with, I think, what would be a good update for you on exactly what's going to happen. So let's get to it. We have a zone of snow. Basically, use Grand Rapids to Saginaw as a dividing line. North of that, probably mostly all snow. Grand Rapids to Saginaw southward, some mix in there, more mix as you go to the south. And it now looks like everybody will be cold enough for some icy roads as we get into the afternoon and evening hours. So let's get to it. And the winter weather advisory really gives you a good feel for whether you have snow mixed with sleet, or snow, sleet, and freezing rain, where you'll have eventually slick, treacherous roads. And there you see it from basically Cadillac and Oscoda southward, the whole lower peninsula of Michigan for the most part. Radar right now showing light snow might be just starting to develop in the center part of the state, but otherwise it's fairly dry, and maybe there's even a little bit of rain from I-94 southward into the far southern part of Michigan. But you can see the snow developing over there in Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and in Iowa. Now, this one doesn't have the depiction between snow versus rain versus freezing rain, but it shows you back to the west. Now, notice there's a split in the storm that's over us right now. That's helping us a touch, because if you don't want a real heavy snow, because if we had been in precipitation right now, we'd probably be adding on a couple more inches of snow to the forecast. Hey, good morning, Joan from Caucallin, and Margaret Miller from Sandusky, good morning, and Dale Schweitzer from Manistee, good morning to you. Okay, so here's the radar forecast. This is the model that we use a lot when the storm is right upon us. It's pretty good. No model is perfect. Sometimes you go to a model for a certain situation and it's got a problem, but in this case, I think this is what we're looking at. So this is the high resolution rapid refresh. Would be noon radar. This would be 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So we go into the first half of the afternoon, and the snow is blossoming from Saginaw to Grand Rapids northward. The salmon color, or maybe you'd call it orange, that's sleet, which is tiny little ice pellets. It's not freezing rain, it's ice pellets. And then the purple would be freezing rain around the Pontiac area. The freezing rain is going to be fairly minimal as far as coverage and accumulation, but it only takes about 5/100ths of an inch of freezing rain before all the dips are filled in the pavement and it becomes slick. So this would be 4 o'clock this afternoon, 5, and let's just stop it at 6. So at 6 o'clock, if you've got an evening commute, it's going to be treacherous. We haven't had this a whole lot this year at the commute times. So Saginaw to Grand Rapids, maybe on the mix. South side of Saginaw, maybe on the mix. North of Saginaw into Bay City, Midland, probably all snow. And when we get a mix, I wrote about this earlier this morning, and if anybody read it, hopefully I didn't make you hungry like I did me. I used the analogy of a pan of brownies. You got 2 pans of brownies. Someone brings them and they're nice, fluffy, and they fill up the whole pan, and those are good, of course. And then someone takes that same brownie mix box and they make their brownies, and they're like this, and they're rich and they're gooey. And that's what we have. If you're in the all snow, we have the snow accumulating, but the mix usually cuts the snow amounts to the low end of the range. So if you get into the mix, I wouldn't expect a ton of snow, but I would expect a big, heavy wafer of using the gooey brownie analogy. Okay, so here we go. So we're 6 o'clock tonight. We're at midnight, and we've got sleet in a lot of southeast lower Michigan. We've got freezing rain around Detroit and Metro. People are asking me about flights this evening, Detroit Metro. Breezy rain and sleet. And what do? They don't do real well, in my mind, at Detroit Metro for a snowy airport. Maybe they've gotten better. This is midnight, so Saginaw and Grand Rapids still into the snow, although starting to turn lighter. And 2 in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning, 5, 6, 7. So others are also asking about Friday morning flights. The storm should be over in Metro, but they don't get their act together instantly the minute the last flake stops. You usually have a 3 to 6 hour lag is what I found. And then we go into Friday. There is a band of lake effect maybe around Ludington and Manistee and Frankfurt. And then by Friday afternoon, that all breaks down. So let's use that same model for a snowfall total, or let's call this a winter precipitation total, if you will, okay? So I would call it a 5 to 7 inch snow from around Grand Rapids and Muskegon to Alma to the Bay City, Saginaw, Midland area to the Thumb. South of that, if we're calling the heaviest band 5 to 7 inches, south of that, I would go 3 to 5. Maybe down to Flint, with Flint being more on the 3. And remember, the mix could bring it to 2 and a gooey piece of brownie. Lansing, probably 3 inches. Then you get to south of Flint, and I would call it 1 to 2 inches for Detroit, Ann Arbor, Lansing, Jackson, Kalamazoo, probably leaning more on the 1, and about 1/10 of an inch of sleet and or freezing rain accumulation. So, and then go north of the 5 to 7, north of that heart of the heaviest snow, and you're 3 to 5 up through Cadillac to maybe Traverse City and much of northern lower Michigan, because there's some lake enhancement off of this thing. Janice Height, what is the blue area representing? I think you're talking about when I was showing the radar forecast, the blue is snow. And if you're looking at this map, the blue is snow also. Brian Campbell, is it a heavy, wet snow? I would say it is. When we're talking about sleet and freezing rain possibly mixing in, it is a heavier snow. As far as wetness goes, Carol Nortley, southwest of Ann Arbor, Michigan, driving this early evening. What to expect? Sleet and freezing rain early this evening south of the Ann Arbor area. All right, now let's look in the future. And as promised, we got a couple of weeks of winter to get through here. This week included. So here's our storm system. Classic track into Ohio, putting the heavy snow band through central lower Michigan. If it was a little bit colder, if we hadn't had record heat yesterday, we would have seen the heavy snow band down into the Detroit area on this one. But this is almost like a March storm where it's got that northern area of a lot of mix. The weekend is decent travel. So this is Saturday and the temperature rebounds. And then this is Sunday. We're into a southwesterly flow, getting mild again. Some places we'll lose all of the snow there. Diane Cavett driving to Traverse City from South Lyon Friday mid-morning. It's all over with by then, so I think the plows, you'll be okay. It won't be perfect. Now we go into Monday, and there could be a light snow come through, reinforcing shot of cold air. Maybe Tuesday we'll talk about a little bit of snow. And then look what we have late next week, and all the models have been advertising this. This is Thursday. Look familiar? And into Friday morning. And then this is 10 days out. But the point being is several chances of snow next week, with one of them maybe being fairly substantial like this, or maybe a touch heavier too. Hey, you're welcome, Diane Cavett. Be safe. Today's highs, we're at them now, basically in the south half, mid 30s. And then tomorrow, looking at mid 20s. And then Saturday. So if you have some traveling to do and you don't like the roads tomorrow, just wait till Saturday. Temperatures will get up to 40 degrees. Sunday into the 40s, all the way to the Sault Ste. Marie, it looks like. And Monday, still upper 30s to low 40s. That's still above normal. And Tuesday, low 40s. And then we start to ease back to the 30s for Wednesday and 30s and 20s for Thursday as the snow may be around. And Friday, 25, and 10 days out, 25 degrees. So it does look like we still have definitely some winter weather to get through. Obviously, today's winter weather, you know what's going to happen. If you have to travel, do it this morning before everything gets going. Try to be home by noon or early afternoon. I don't think this is one of those that's going to pounce on us right away and it'll instantly turn terrible. It'll take 2 or 3 hours probably before the roads get snow covered over or have some sleet on them. Tomorrow, precipitation done, but colder temperatures, but we will get some sunshine in there. And the sunshine is definitely gaining power. So that can help on the darker pavement. And then the weekend looks pretty good for traveling. Rebecca, should we expect ice under the snow in the morning around Lansing? Lansing's going to be in the mix. So I would say this is, one good thing about a mix is it's not pure ice. Sometimes a mix turns out to be have fairly good grip to it because you get some sleet pellets, you get some freezing rain mixed in there, you get some snow. They all kind of crunch up and make granular type thing. Not to say that it's perfect, but I've seen it happen where sometimes it surprises you that it's not as bad as you would think that it would be. The main thing is for your safety, try to avoid driving if you can. Second half of this afternoon and definitely this evening, 6 p.m. to midnight, or I should say 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. That will be the hardest time as the temperatures will be turning colder, the roads will be getting colder, the roads will be freezing, the precipitation will be going at full bore. There you have it. Hopefully you get through this one safely, and we'll start targeting the next one next week. Who knows? It's March. We could have 3 or 4 of those in March. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. Thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update.